You never leave a job. You leave a bad manager all the time. And of course, I mean, money is definitely a key factor, depending on where you are in terms of hierarchy of needs, etc. And if you're paid a significant amount above what you're making, for sure, you would exit, even if it's the best manager in the world, right?
Thank you for listening to the podcast thus far. The one favor I would ask, if you can, if you're enjoying what you're listening to, is to press the follow and subscribe button on whatever media platform you listen to us, as it helps us grow our network and grow the podcast. So thank you and enjoy the podcast.
Hello, and welcome back to Alchemy Uncensored podcast. We're on our third season, and we promise you that we'll bring in more valuable insights into the financial and tax sector of the UAE. Today, we've got Sabahatt Habib. Sabahatt is the Chief People and Culture Officer at the Giving Movement, with experience spanning automotive, e-commerce, SaaS, and omnichannel. She brings a cross-industry perspective to building cultures that deliver performance with humanity. She is known for positioning people and culture as a true growth engine, blending data, empathy, and clarity to shape high-performing sports teams, organizations. A LinkedIn top voice, Sabahatt is recognized for her bold yet human perspective on leadership, the future of work, and the real drivers of people and performance. Sabahatt.
Connor.
K-drama, tell me all about it.
Are you sure?
So what's your favorite episode what's your favorite series at the moment for our listeners?
Oh my God. So I just finished Genie, Your Wish. I think if I remember correctly, that's exactly how the title is. But yeah, very cute show, very nice, very amazing. It's a break from the real world. Something you can just enjoy and relax, puts your mind at ease.
Oh, perfect. Well, look, thank you for coming on today. I guess, look, for our listeners, they'll probably pick up that Sabahatt is more on the HR people side as opposed to the finance side. And what we're really trying to delve in today, we're going to go into mental health, but we're also going to talk about workplaces, culture. And this is such an important area, for our listeners, especially listeners who are maybe looking at coming into the region, getting a feel for how workplace cultures are, leadership behaviors, and we want to really, really push into that. So it's not going to be one about how to become a CFO, as I'm sure you're not really too bothered about that. But it's, we're going to talk about managers, mental health. So I guess you're just quite keen to paint the picture of, your career, the evolution to get to the seat where you are today. And then what are you passionate about? Why are you in the position you're in now?
When I first started my career, I did not think I wanted to enter HR. Like, I didn't even know what HR was. Okay. Like, this is back in the days, fresh graduate, just trying to land any job that I could possibly get. I tried sales. I wanted to enter marketing. So I applied for a bunch of marketing jobs. I never even thought of human resources, in all honesty. And then, I met, so she's a general manager of Al Nabuda Automobiles, Ines Albert, huge shout out to her. She changed my entire life and my career, to be honest. So I was in touch with her when I was doing my thesis. Long story short, I reached out to her when I was trying to look for a job, and she said, hey, come on, let's just have a conversation. She saw something in me that obviously I didn't even know existed inside of me. And hence she gave me my first job in HR. And because I started from, how would I say it, right at the most junior role in HR, I thought that HR is just booking tickets. Honestly, back in the day, this is what we used to do. You had a person that all they would do day in, day out is the annual tickets, biannual tickets, repatriation tickets, and NOCs and all of the administrative work. And then I realized through a lot of, interactions with employees, etc., that I am passionate about this. I am passionate about people and culture because these are human beings. Even this ticket that I'm booking that is, feeling like a very mundane task, I'm giving this person happiness because they're going to use this ticket to go visit their family in their home country once every 2 years, for example, or on an annual basis. So I'm still having an impact on a human being's life. I'm still creating a moment of happiness. And then as I started, climbing up the career ladder, I realized that there was more ways in how I could impact their lives. And that's how, my passion began for people and culture, because I'm passionate about human beings. I'm passionate about creating moments of happiness in their lives. I'm passionate about making sure that they're okay and that they're taken care of.
And one thing I just picked up on what you said, the lady that's got you the job, was she your mentor?
She is.
Something we speak about so much in the podcast. So let's just dive into that quickly. So is it a family friend or who's this? How did this happen?
It's a complete stranger. So basically, I reached out to her over summer when I was doing my master's. You know, master's, you have to do dissertations, etc. You always have to reach out to a company to do some kind of survey, yada yada. So she was actually traveling during that time. So I was unable to do my survey with Al Nabuda Automobiles. And then when I graduated, I reached out to her, as I said, because I was looking for a job. Like I've never met her in my entire life, a complete stranger. And for some reason, I have no idea what happened. Maybe it was God trying to help me. I don't know. But like, why would she even want to meet this random graduate when she's the general manager with probably a million things to do in her life and an insanely crazy schedule for herself, I'm sure. So I don't know why she took a chance on me to even have me over to her office. And I was so nervous. Oh my God, I remember the day like it was yesterday. Yeah, it was really nerve-wracking for me. Like, you know, this super senior, amazing woman. Like, I'm so inspired by her up to today.
15 years ago, 12 years?
Oh, yes, probably like 15 years ago. This is my first ever job. And yeah, she was not my line manager, obviously, because, you know, I was way
You're at the bottom.
at the bottom of the barrel. But she was my mentor throughout the time. So even though I did have a different line manager, she was the person who was running the people and culture team. So I used to spend a lot of time with her. I learned a lot from her. She was my mentor. She is my mentor up to date. I'm still in touch with her. In fact, I was just chatting with her on WhatsApp yesterday as well. And yeah,
there
I'm
you
just
go.
so
So
blessed.
the lesson there for listeners is put yourself out there.
Yes, for sure. Put yourself out there. You never know until you try. You just have to keep trying.
Yeah, the worst thing they can say is no.
Exactly. And you got to keep knocking on doors. You have to, you can't stop. You can't
You
stop.
could be in recruitment. Nice resilience there. But anyway, no, you probably have more, you have a better soul and heart than recruitment, I would say. On that then, so, you know, leadership behaviors, you know, how can shape, you know, cultures within businesses. So, you know, how have you seen that in your experience? Because obviously you're in the position you're in, you're not, you know, in a bird's eye way, you're overlooking the whole businesses that you're, you know, you're working in. You know, how have you found how leadership can actually just trickle down the whole way through a business from a culture perspective?
See, when you're a leader, you have to be so conscious of your actions and your behavior because everyone is watching. Even if you think no one is watching, people are watching even your energy. People are watching things that you may not even know that you're doing. And that trickles down and becomes your culture. Culture can be consciously made, which is all of us, what we're all trying to do in businesses. But culture is also unconsciously made. So I guess what I'm trying to say is as a leader, you have to be so careful about your actions because, and you know what, tough luck, it comes with it, all right? You're a leader, so deal with it. But you have to be very careful because anything that you do or you do not do is what is going to trickle down to be the culture because people will think this is acceptable or this is not acceptable, whether you even know what you have done or not. So you just have to be fully aware at all times.
Yeah. And then, you know, for you, in your experience, how have you dealt sometimes when there's been issues with culture?
So it's by having conversations. So I'll give you like a really like simple example, right? So there was a time when one of our C-levels wanted to just, you know, go out for a few drinks or something with a bunch of people. But this person has multiple teams reporting into them, but they had only like, you know, just sent out the invite to one specific team or whatever, just to a few people. They did this completely unconsciously. It's not like anyone wants anyone to feel left out or anything. It was a complete innocent act. But because I am always thinking about, you know, equality, fairness, I don't want anyone to feel like they're left out. I don't want any kind of, you know, unconscious biases or favoritism or anything of the sort. So I had a conversation with this person. I was like, hey, you know, I know you did this in a complete innocent manner, but I think we need to extend the invite to everyone else because you have, you know, multiple people reporting to you or whatever it is. So we just want to make sure like everyone feels included. With this example, what I'm trying to show again is that as leaders, we just have to be really careful. And that's where I come in to have those conversations because people make mistakes not knowing. And that's why CHROs or CPOs are so important. You have to have that uncomfortable discussion. I hate having such conversations. Can you imagine talking to your fellow C-suite, being like, hey, I think you did X, Y, Z. It's extremely uncomfortable. But you know what? You got to do what you got to do.
Well, there's two things here. So first, I want to talk about, because this is so important and it just shows where it's not, you know, when we have finance people here, they say it's all relationships within the business.
Yes.
Obviously in your position, that's probably X10. You know, how do you go about, because as you said, you have to go to someone getting it from more of a HR perspective. How do you go about building relationships? And actually, let's put on the other foot. I know you're working with a very good man at the moment, but traditionally CHROs and CFOs sometimes can clash.
Yes.
So I'd be quite keen to get it from the perspective of from the HR side. How do you go about building the relationship with the person who traditionally would say no to a lot of things?
In my career, ever since I did enter a position where, how would I put it, like a leadership position, I did make a conscious effort to always build a relationship with the person that is lead in finance for this reason. How do I build a relationship is by, how does anyone build a relationship? Having those informal conversations, trying to get to know, trying to get to know each other on a human level. And then when you have these conversations, you discuss employees, you discuss certain situations, you get the common denominator or commonality of looking at people as human beings. And this is what has helped me a lot because, as you said, finance people are always about the cost. What is the ROI on this? Well, you know what? Sometimes I can't really put a number on things. So, for example, it would be like, what is the ROI on having, an extended bereavement leave, for example? Like, because obviously this is money, right? This is extended paid leave, which is bereavement. Now, I can't put a number on it. I can make assumptions that, yes, this person is probably going to be more loyal to the business. The turnover rate is probably going to be reduced. They're probably going to increase efficiency because we helped them be there. We were there for them when they needed the time off, because they lost someone that's important to them. But sometimes finance pushes you to put these numbers together, but these numbers are fake because these are all assumptions. We're literally making assumptions just to satisfy. Exactly. And I feel like we're overcomplexifying everything. Come on, let's keep it real. Let's keep it simple. You are there for someone. Obviously, they're going to feel taken care of. Obviously, they're going to love you more as a business. Obviously, they're going to be more loyal. Obviously, their efficiency is going to increase. You just want to make my life more complicated by giving you some numbers to satisfy, your ego or whatever it is. Okay. So, but as I said, through relationships, this can be eliminated. And I'm lucky and blessed, like our CFO of the Given Movement. He's my partner. He has a great heart. He's a very kind human being.
He's a clean heart.
Yes, yeah, he does. Honestly, Saad is he's really good. So I've not had this situation. Of course, we do have conversations about, making sure that the business is taken care of, or we're not in a situation where we may potentially lose
company names. We would like to hope they do the Giving Movement.
It's true, but so for example, I'll give you another example, right? Just recently, we tried to show up and be there for a person because, they needed to take an advanced salary because they had a family emergency, but they were still within less than a year. Now, normally, people would not do that because as per the, you need to have at least accumulated gratuity. So we try to think out of the box because you want to help this person, but at the same time, you want to safeguard the business. Yeah. So then when I went to Saad that, hey, we need to do this, I was like, look, we have their annual leave balance that God forbid if they, resign or something, we can still have some sort of recovery. Yeah. And so what I'm trying to say is yes, you need to think about it from a finance perspective. And I need to make a conscious effort to always think of it this way.
Human perspective.
Yeah, human and finance, right? Yeah. Both together, because otherwise the CFO is going to think, oh my God, this she's all about butterflies and fluff, la la land, wants to help the entire world. You need to still keep business in mind. And I think that makes their life easy.
Another word I picked up on, which I love, is the word fairness.
Yes.
And for me, it's the most important word in business.
Yes.
Everything needs to be fair. In any negotiation, any deal, if it's not fair, then, what is that definition? What's it mean to you?
Oh, it means everything to me. Honestly, you mentioned earlier that a lot of people believe in relationships in the business. So from a C-suite perspective, it's great. From collaboration perspective, it's great. But then what happens is when line managers build relationships with specific people in the business, then comes favoritism. And it's very unconscious that this happens at times. You just like one person more than the other because I find that I have more, things in common with them. Exactly. We are human beings. Come on. Of course this happens. But that's where I come in because we are able, people in culture, not really me as a person, but the people in culture team, because we're constant advocates for fairness, we call these things out. It's happened traditionally all over the world.
In the UAE, you'd be very busy because it's probably the biggest favoritism in nationality.
I know. But it really bothers me, Connor. It really, really does, because we do need to be fair to each individual. Just because I have a relationship with someone or I like them better, that doesn't mean that they get to climb the career ladder faster than the other person. And this is what we see happening with line managers. They get unconsciously biased.
Oh, 100%. Well, I think just what I would say, this is probably the only place in the world where I say this in a respectful manner, where in job briefings where the HR will actually tell you the bias, what they
Yeah.
want. He will be this, she will be that, mainly he, subconsciously, or this nationality, that nationality. And we see it with so many companies where you'll have any person from any nationality, but they could be perfect for company A, but company B, they won't be perfect for the exact same job.
That's true.
And it's that's why I think in your position, I can imagine that is so hard, especially in bigger businesses where you have different line managers, different backgrounds, different preferences. And for you to try and get that D&I
Of course.
is an uphill task, I imagine, more so than probably anywhere else in
It's
the world.
true.
Because in other parts of the world, it's so ingrained into the HR function where, of course, it has to be D&I. We will take any bias we will take from the CV. So when the hiring managers reviewing the CVs, they can't have any sort of a subconscious bias.
That's true.
So
So, I mean, I personally hate the word D&I. I'm being very honest, right? I feel like this should not even be a subject that anyone should be talking about because it should be the norm. We should be inclusive as human beings as the norm. And I think, as you mentioned in the UAE, I mean, there is, as you said, HR sometimes specifically says we need specific nationalities. So I'm going to be very transparent, right? So sometimes, for example, in certain malls, you would need to have specific languages. So it's not nationalities, it's languages. So we would say, okay, fine, because this mall is situated, I mean, the customers or the footfall is mostly Arabic speaking. So we need to have Arabic speaking people, but that could be a variety of nationalities. So I think even from an HR perspective, we need to change our mindset and not look at nationalities, but look at what are the requirements of the role, because this is the only place where I see that sometimes you would only hire specific, Arabic speakers, for example. But for the rest, especially for like HQ roles or something, I definitely do not believe that they should be any kind of, nationalities. And for sales jobs is where I see this happening. Like we need, for example, Russian speakers or Chinese, Mandarin, not Chinese.
Mandarin speakers,
Exactly. For Dubai Mall, for example, because you have multiple different nationalities. So for that, I understand, but it's not more, it's because of your customers, because it's the service that you're trying to provide. So in that element, it's okay as long as you're doing languages, not nationalities. But when it comes to HQ roles and things like that, no. English is the language we speak in the office. English is how we work. So it doesn't matter if you're whatever nationality you are.
Speak English.
Exactly.
Good.
Yeah.
No, I agree. But again, it's actually quite refreshing to hear that because, I'm here 8 years and I honestly don't think I've ever heard that approach. And I mean, because I think certain companies where they've went so far in on one way.
Yeah.
And then they try to change it. And it's like, not the damage is done, but it's just such a different culture for someone else to come into.
That's true.
And that's why I think, having a blend of everything. We have a very good blend in Alchemy.
I have seen you have done an incredible
We're overrun
job.
by the Filipino mafia these days. So we've hit our quota with them. So we're very lucky to have them. But so I want to go into now when work and life blur. So, how do you build, cultures that support, I think we've sort of touched a bit earlier, but the whole human beyond the job? Because I imagine the position, and again, I'm looking at this from not understanding the role completely compared to the CFO role, where you're that person in the office where you hear everyone's problems. Whenever there's a serious problem, 99% of the office won't be aware of it, I imagine, for the most part. How do you support these people? How do you keep it in-house? Or, just quite keen to dig into that a bit.
I think what we do in the Given movement is we really personalize our policies. So you know how we always talk about personalizing the customer experience to the customer? Well, why don't we do that for our people internally as well? So that's what we do, and that's how we're able to cater to people. So let me just take a few steps back. Our mindset and our philosophy is that if you have a bad day at work, you're going to go home and you're probably going to have take it out on your spouse or your parents or your kids or whoever it is. That's what I mean to say when I say the lines are blurred, because we do carry it home and we carry home to the office. It's just, we're human beings, we're emotional beings, and this is how it is. Now, of course, your personal problems when you enter work, you can suddenly kind of switch off or whatever it is, but your work problems, you do take it home, and this is just how it works.
Yeah.
9 out of 10 times, I mean. So now just to go back a little bit, why do people take problems home? What are the kind of problems that they have at work that they're taking home? It's always the bad stress. It's the anxiety of the line manager. See, your A players, they love challenges at work. that are work related. This makes them excited. This motivates them. That's the good stress. It's the bad stress that they take home. My line manager is not talking to me properly. I'm not receiving feedback, or I had a performance review today and I thought I was going to get the promotion or the salary increment. Now I've suddenly been given feedback that I need to work on X, Y, Z. Why didn't they tell me about this before? What does my line manager think of me? This is the anxiety. Or I'm not able to, for example, have flexible work because my mom is not feeling well, etc. This is what we bring home. And that's what I mean to say by the lines are blurred. Now, where the people and culture team comes in is that we have policies, obviously, right? All companies have policies, and the policies are there because, you will have people that try to abuse policies, and hence you just have to have them in place, right? As the general guidelines. But what we do is we tailor it to each person's experience. So, for example, if a person has, lost a loved one, I'm just giving you a really random example, and there's certain type of rituals because of that person's religion. Now, from a people and culture perspective, would be like, of course, we want you to make sure that you abide by all your rituals. So we will cater the policy towards you or whatever it is. Or for example, as I said, the advanced salary situation. As per the company policy, you need to be in the business for at least a minimum of 2 years in order to be eligible. But we tailored it because obviously they're going through something. For example, last example, me and my examples. But I just feel it's more tangible when I give examples. So we had a situation where an individual is going through like a personal situation whereby the spouse is refusing to renew the visas. It's like a family thing. Exactly. And they're refusing to even cancel the visas. And now the work permit is, we're unable to renew it because obviously you need a valid visa. So very long story short, that person obviously cannot report to the office because it would not be right, etc. Now, this person needs money because obviously they have kids that they need to support. Yeah. Normal businesses, straight away, unpaid leave. You don't have annual leave balance, unpaid. But we know what this person is going through and this is not their fault. So what we did as a business, okay, fine. You can take 5 days or 6 days from 2026 right now to help you. You see what I mean? This is what I mean by personalizing all policies to the situation.
And for someone who's worked in the region for so long, you don't have to answer this question if you don't want to. We can just edit this bit out if you want. But what is the most common exit?
Line managers.
Line manager. That's the standout one is just they don't get on with their line manager.
Of course. I mean,
money's obviously probably another thing sometimes.
Yeah, for sure.
Just quite keen because obviously we're stuck in the job I find myself in. We're obviously stuck in the middle where it's usually they don't get on with their boss or it's money.
You never leave a job. You leave a bad manager all the time. And of course, I mean, money is definitely a key factor, okay, depending on where you are in terms of hierarchy of needs, etc. And if you're paid a significant amount above what you're making, for sure you would exit, even if it's the best manager in the world, right? Yeah. I mean, that's why I left Buddha Automobiles as well, because she was absolutely incredible, but I wanted to, accelerate on my career. And I wanted to really climb up the career ladder fast. So it is what it is. But 99% of the time, people leave jobs because of their managers. Now, people and culture teams are a specific team. We can only do so much, but your line manager is the person with you day in and day out. They are the person who has an impact on your mental health, on your mental well-being, on everything. It is your line manager. And I think that's the reason why people leave.
I'll ask you another question on that then. If there was someone in a team right now, so our listener, say if there's a listener who's reporting into someone and that person isn't treating them well, it's getting to the point they're not happy, their mental health's being affected. What should they do? Should they go to the HR director or should they go to the CFO? What would you recommend? Or just go straight to the line manager and say, I'm not happy?
So look, I always encourage feedback first, because sometimes as human beings, we may behave in a certain way and not really realize what our actions are doing to the other individual. So what I would say is the person should speak to their line manager, have a very open conversation first, be like, hey, Sabahatt, when you do this or when you behave this way or when you say this to me or when you treat me this way, this is the impact it is having on me as a person. Because maybe that person does not realize the impact that they're having. Now, God forbid if that doesn't work out, right? Because sometimes it may not work out. Sometimes maybe the line manager is going to be like, oh my God, you had the guts to say this to
Get
me. I'm going to
emotional,
make
yeah.
you. Exactly. They could be defensive, right? You never know. Human beings, you never really know how they're going to
Especially out
act.
here, yeah. It was,
Exactly.
yeah.
So if that happens, then of course there is skip level, meaning you could go to the line manager's manager. But if you're not comfortable with them, you can feel the energy. You know if a person, through the way they behave, the way they communicate.
Body language is big.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You will be able to tell whether this, person who is my line manager's manager is going to be able to, how they're going to kind of react to my situation. So if you're unable to do that, go to people and culture. This is what we're here for. Right? And then speak to us and then leave it with us. But where people and culture teams have the most difficulty, which drives me mad, Connor, is that people come and they tell us everything in confidentiality. I'm sorry, how do you expect us to help you if everything you have said is in confidence?
Yeah.
So I'm supposed to go to the line manager and be like,
I get you.
oh, so we have received
It's like a confession box. For all the
exactly.
captive
So
listeners.
and then I tell them, okay, fine. You know what? I'll be your counselor. I will be your shoulder to cry on. Vent all you want, but if I'm not allowed to disclose your name or this particular situation, there is nothing I can do about this. Yeah. And it is what it is.
Yeah. That's
because how?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I'd say you've
exactly
a few interesting stories there in your head. But then what I guess the big point as well I want to get into now is, given your position, you've probably had hundreds of interviews.
Yes.
And I said for a lot of our listeners, tax or finance professionals, your interview process, you'll always have the head of tax or the CFO, which is a very different type of interview. And sometimes we've seen candidates fail at the last stage where it's the HR, where sometimes it's seen as it's just a chat.
Yes. Just culture round is what we call it. It's just
to see that you're not as psycho or something like that. I don't know. but it's sometimes seen as, hey, you've done the hard work, you've passed the technical assessments, you've done all that. But what is your advice? What are the common mistakes you see sometimes, from candidates? And this is just for our listeners who are going through interview processes. When you then have the HR round, what should you be focusing? How would you prep for like a finance or a tax person doing a HR round?
So I think you should not prep. I'm being honest. It's a conversation. This HR person is not going to assess your technical skills. You've already done that. They want to get to know you as a person, as a human being. So be yourself. Be honest.
I like that. No prep.
Be
just
authentic. It's true. Yeah. Don't rehearse your answers. Just be who you are. Be true. Because HR people can see through you because of the number of people that we have spoken to and interviewed in our life. So we have this gut. We have our intuition.
That's why they don't like recruiters then.
Yeah, but the reason why sometimes we maybe not pass a candidate is because we feel that they're trying to put this facade, they're trying to pretend to be someone they're not.
What's your worst quality? I work too hard.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, come on, be authentic, be yourself. Because show us who you are, who is the raw person, who is the real Connor. And then we will be able to make a call if you would be great as a cultural ad or as a cultural fit within the business. But yeah, you need to show who you are. Just be honest. Be honest, completely, because there's no right or wrong answer. Honesty
I like that,
is what matters.
Again, for our listeners, obviously, prepare for the other rounds.
For sure.
for the technical rounds, make sure you prepare then. And then I know we're closing up here now soon enough, but I want to dig into redefining well-being.
Yes.
In a time in life now where social media algorithms are very much fixated on negativity and really bringing awareness to people about, effects on different things in life. But how have you gone about that?
Me personally?
Well, personally and professionally.
Okay. So, again, we're a whole person, right? So personally, whatever you do to your life does have an impact in your professional world as well. In terms of me as well-being, look, I'm at a position and I'm a C-suite person. So there is a lot of stress that happens, but it's about controlling your mind and realizing no matter how much you love your job, it is just a job. So when you go home, do not bring it home. Because when we are senior in a business, there's no one above us to take care of us. So to say, we need to take care of ourselves. So this is how I take care of myself. I make sure that I try to do at least some kind of physical activity. I love running.
Big run tomorrow morning.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because running really, I bust my stress, There are times when I'm literally thinking about this human being that has really driven me mad, and I run faster and I listen to that music louder. You know what I mean? And of course, like staying away from your phone, I think the worst thing we do is that we sleep with our phones. And I know how crazy this is, because then the first thing you do is you check your email, you check your
that's the first thing
Slack,
you do.
and you just invited a bunch of people into your bed, basically, because you're just letting all these people in. And even before we go to bed, we're still checking our email. This is really disturbing our brain. If it is an emergency, you will get a phone call, but you need to you need to take care of yourself for you to be able to take care of those in your team. Simple as that. If you're burnt out, if you're not taking care of yourself, you're not going to do a good job taking care of anyone else.
And that probably leads me on to my final question is the future of work. I imagine AI, the position you sit in, I imagine there's a lot of discussion about this, from a HR point of view. Obviously, we get the opinion of senior finance guys, but what's your view on the future of work?
I think the future of work, it's going to be a blend of AI and human beings. Human beings are still going to be needed because, you know what, with years of experience, we have intuition, we have gut. We make sense of the data analysis that AI gives us. AI makes so many mistakes. How many times have you put something into Claude or ChatGPT or Perplexity and it gives you something wrong, and then you have to call it out, and then you receive a message saying, oh, I'm sorry, actually, blah, 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 blah. So use AI for its strength right now, as of today, because things are changing at the speed of lightning. The strength is data analysis, but you still need a human being to make sense of that data or to decide what direction that you're going to go in. So I think the future of work is that people will have to be more in tuned with their gut, more in tuned with their intuition, more in tuned with empathy, more in tuned with all the human elements.
Emotional intelligence, empathy is the...
Exactly, because even our customers, we need to now tackle them or get into them through feelings. That's what branding, that's what companies are all trying to do, build relationships, build, feelings, get that emotional human connection because we're human beings. AI is never going to replace that.
Yeah, I guess, final question. It's gone fast, hasn't it?
It has.
Yeah, I told you.
We could go on all day.
We'll get you back for a series. So what's the one piece of advice you give to our listeners?
I think the one piece of advice I would say is be yourself, be true to who you are, take care of your mental health, take care of
It's very refreshing. The CFOs never have this.
Yeah, I'm sure. But seriously, take care of your mental health. It is so important, Do things to relieve the stress. Look, I would be lying if I said that life is beautiful. Everyone has stress, each and every single person, including myself. But you find elements or do things to let the blow out the steam. Journal, do exercise, do something, but take care of yourself because life is precious and you have loved ones that are depending on you, not just from a company perspective, but from a human perspective.
Love that.
And also treat each other with humanity. Treat others how you want to be.
It's nice. Manners cost nothing.
100%.
Simple as. And now, this is the fun part of it. So on a lighter note, we have a quick fire round now.
Oof.
We get to know you. And you can't have prepped for this either, so this is good. So, what fear have you had to overcome to move forward?
I think it's what fear? I think it should be public speaking. I needed to really get over that.
Really, yeah?
Yeah.
How many years ago was that? Out of interest?
I still get nervous each time. I was just telling Tiffany, I woke up at 4:30 this morning. Connor's going to ask me questions. What is he going to ask? But come on, we're human beings. But now that I'm here, I feel really comfortable. But we all face this. But anyway, sorry.
Good.
That's a topic for another.
You did great.
Yeah, thank you.
And what's your personal definition of success?
Happiness and love and kindness and the number of lives that you touch, the amount of how much you give, forget receiving, but how much you're able to give. This is what success is to me.
Tiffany, what you make of this? It's a very different one today, isn't it? It's beautiful.
Thank
The
you.
other one's study, do your exams.
You're balancing your bank account.
Balance that bank account. If you weren't in the job you're in right now, what would you have been? What was your dream job when you're growing up?
Oh, my dream job was to be an assassin. Okay. I didn't even know the definition of that. I'm serious. When I was 5 or 6 years old, I thought it was pretty cool. Then I wanted to become a policewoman. And I had I just wanted to do something where I could, fight and flex. But anyway, but when I became of age where I realized that this is not what I want to do, then if I
Well,
wasn't
you're in HR, you have plenty of power. You got plenty of power in HR.
true, but like anyway, that was like
The
under fire.
HRs are silent assassins anyway.
This is true.
It's true. Okay, perfect. Look, Sabahatt, that was brilliant. Thank you so much for
Thank
coming
you.
on. Lots of golden nuggets there. I know Tiffany will have loads of lovely teasers. And yeah, look, it was great to catch up. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you. And I just want to put a disclaimer because now I'm overthinking. Oh my God, I said assassin and everyone's going to judge me now because this is the world we live in. Hey, come on. I used to watch like Electra and like, all these cool movies. So please blame Hollywood. Don't blame the 5-year-old. It was Hollywood.
Assassin to HR makes sense.
No. It was Hollywood. Okay, let's blame Hollywood. They make it look all cool. But thank you so much, Connor.
Pleasure.
Thank you,
Pleasure.
Tiffany, and the entire team. Honestly, I really enjoyed this.
Well, I
Thank
hope
you
you
so
sleep
much.
better tonight now. You don't get up at 4:30 again.
Oh, I will. Thank you.
No, thank you so much. So look, for everyone, we hope you've enjoyed this episode. Please make sure to subscribe to our podcast and I'll see you on our next episode. Thank you.